Hi guys! Today we're talking about extended facts again. Now we're going to be talking about products of 10. I can represent multiplication and division in various ways. I can use basic facts to solve extended facts. So today we're going to be especially multiplying by tens. Here's your hashtag Stump the Squirrel question today. If you have 70 $50 bills, how much money do you have? Go ahead and see if you can try to figure that out. We'll come back to it at the end of this little show. Here's the first thing I want you to think about. If I have 10 times 10, that's the same as me saying I have 10 groups of 10s. And I know that 10 groups of 10s, or 10 by 10, is equal to 100. I have my hundreds chart down here below, and you can see that each row has 10. And then if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I have 10 columns of 10. So you can also think of it with using your blocks, or french fries as I like to call them. Here's one group of 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of 10, 8 groups of 10, 9 groups of 10, 10 groups of 10, which we know, if I line them up nice and neat like that, is the same as 100. Okay? Now I'm going to throw something else at you. If I have 10 times 100, it's the same as me saying I have 10 groups of 100s. And if I were to multiply that together, that would be equal to 1,000. You can see here I'm now counting by 100s on my number chart. Every row has 100, and I have 10 rows of 100, which would get me to 1,000. If I were to do 10 times 100 with my blocks, switch back over here for you. By the way, I like to call these french fries, and I like to call these hamburger buns. So I would have one hamburger bun, that's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, oh my gosh, 900, 1,000, okay? 10 times 100 would be 1,000. If I had 100 times 100, or 100 groups of 100s, what would that equal? It would be way too much for me to draw for you, actually, but it would actually also be equal to 10,000. Notice that as we've gone through this, every time we've multiplied, we've increased by a factor of 10. Here was 100 when we did 10 times 10. 10 times 100 is 1,000. 100 times 100 is 10,000. So we're increasing by a factor of 10 every time. I have a question for you. The Pretty Landscape Company bought 20 rose bushes for $10 each. How much did they spend? So we are looking for how much money they spent when they bought these 20 rose bushes that cost $10 each. I can write my multiplication number model by saying 20 rose bushes times $10 each is equal to something that I don't know yet. You can also think of that 20 times 10 as being the same as 20 groups of 10. All right? Now I can solve this by looking at 20 times 10 and thinking to myself, I actually have 2 10s, which is equal to 20, times one group of 10, and then if I do some nifty multiplication, I know that 2 times 1 would be 2, and 10 times 10 would be 100. So now I have 2 groups of 100s that I'm working with. And I know that 2 times 100 will get me 200. So my answer should be $200 that they spent total. We can think of this also on the number line. 20 times 10 is the same as 20 skips by 10 on a number line. Here's 0. Let's do 20 skips by 10. Notice that each of my hash marks have a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, almost there, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 20 skips by 10 on a number line gets me 200, which interestingly enough was our answer before. You can also think of this as 10 skips by 20 on a number line. So now I am going to skip by 20 10 times. Notice we still have our same number model up here, 20 times 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I'm counting by 20s. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this time I made a jump each time by 20, 10 times, and I got to 200. Well, business is so good at the Pretty Landscape Company that now they want to buy even more rose bushes. They still cost $10 each. So how much did they spend? Let's take a look at some examples down below. Before we knew that when they bought 20 rose bushes at $10 each, they spent $200. What would happen if they bought 200 rose bushes at a cost of $10 each? I can solve this by using basic fact knowledge again. Starting off, I know that 200 is made up of two groups of 100s. And I'm going to multiply that by one group of 10s, because one group of 10s makes up 10. Let's use some basic multiplication facts to figure this out. 2 times 1 is equal to 2, and I also know that from before, 100 times 10 is equal to 1,000. Here's a little sneaky squirrel hint. Notice I did 1 times 1, which is 1, and then I have 1, 2, 3 zeros that I added onto the end. So if you ever just need a little hint, or you get stuck, or you want to check your work, make sure you have the same number of zeros after you added your first 1 times 1 together there. Okay, that works for other things too. Little sneaky trick. Okay, so now we have 2 and we have thousands. So really what this comes down to is that it's 2 groups of 1,000s. Or 2 times 1,000 would be 2,000. So if they were to buy 200 rose bushes at $10 each, they would be spending $2,000, a lot of moolah. Go ahead and try to solve the bottom one on your own. Let's go back to Stump the Squirrel. If you have 70 $50 bills, how much money do you have? I know that 70 times 50 is going to be equal to 3,500. How did I figure that out? Notice I've color-coded my numbers here to help you. 70 is made up of 7 tens times 5 tens. I know that my basic fact 7 times 5 is equal to 35, and 10 times 10 is equal to 100. So really all it is here is 35 groups of 100s. 35 and the hundreds come back together, and we have $3,500. Does it make sense to you that if we have 35 hundreds, we would have $3,500? You would also have a lot of money. See you later.